got that made in September, and I've just been sitting in my Google Drive.
We've launched it. Let it fly. Yeah, it's awesome. It's good to be back. It's been a minute.
A long minute, but a minute nevertheless.
Yeah, no doubt.
How are you?
I'm good. Yourself?
Great. Been dealing with a never-ending cycle of flu, cold, head colds, all that stuff. When you have three kids in three different classes, right?
Yeah.
One gets it, gets better. The other one gets it, then passes on the next one. Then we get it, and then we get better, and then start the cycle again.
You know, we're at that point where, you know, if one of our children sneezes, you immediately turn your head and say, "Okay, what is going on? is that impending doom coming our way, or is that just did you just have
for sure
sniff some dust?" No, yeah.
There's the brief pause, and it's. Do we need to prepare ourselves?
You're already trying to rearrange your work schedule based off of one sneeze when it could just be from dust. Right?
Yeah, especially when you get a message when you're at work, and I just lean over and I'm like, just so you know, this one's at home today, or this one's throwing up, or you're like, oh god,
it's that season. I tell you, it is that season. So how long has it been? It's Jade was saying that it was June last time. Which, to the good listener and viewers, we are sorry. We are sorry.
Yeah, to me, it's one of those things where it's like you're not overly busy, but you're just busy enough where something as simple as a conversation just can't squeeze its way in.
Right. Yeah, I would have just figured it was because of how much I detested Phase 4 that I'm so I am just not ready to talk until it's done, until it's in the rear view mirror.
Yeah,
which it is, thank God. Yeah,
that's why the benefit of a long break is you get to digest all of it, and then rather than just have episode after episode after episode of complaints, you can do it all in a nice yearly wrap up.
Last time we talked, I think it was when Chris Rock got smacked by Mr. Will Smith.
Yeah, I think so. And we were heading into Thor, and it had just come out of Doctor Strange, and Miss Marvel was ending, and we were wondering, hey, what's She-Hulk going to be like?
That's right. Yeah. Chris Rock got smacked at the Oscars, and now we're entering into a new Oscar season with new movies that are on the billet.
We were talking about Chris Rock getting smacked by Will Smith, and if this was the end of Will Smith, and now Will Smith has a new movie out.
What's his new movie?
Emancipation. It's an Apple TV movie. For all the folks that got Apple TV Plus. I'm not one of them.
No,
it's to date, I don't think there's been anything worthwhile to sign up for Apple TV Plus, in my humble opinion.
I'm trying to think. We have it.
Now, do you pay for it, or is it one of those things that came with like a new phone and you get X months for free?
No,
which is kind of how it launched.
I initially paid for it, but then we also have Apple Music, and it was cheaper to get the Apple Family Bundle, which this includes. And so now I am still paying for it, but I'm paying for it because we use the Apple Music for the majority of the time.
You mean Spotify, right? Because our streaming platform is owned by Spotify.
Right. Spotify. Go to Spotify, folks. The only show was the what's it called? The only show we watched was the one where they could separate work from. It was directed by Ben Stiller.
Oh, Severance.
Yeah,
I haven't watched that yet. It's on my list of things.
Very slow. Yeah,
I heard good things.
It's a great concept, and it's something that's intriguing, but in my opinion, you get to episode 7 or 8 and you're still trying to figure out what's happening. I mean, obviously what's happening, but where is it going? It shouldn't take 7 or 8 episodes for that.
Yeah,
but that's just my opinion.
if it's slow, that because that's my problem with Andor. It hooked me at the beginning, and then in the middle it slowed down, and it took me a while to finish it.
So I haven't seen Andor yet, but I heard that if you can make it to episode 4, then it pays off. And
yeah, it was the first 3 where I was like, ugh, okay. Well, first one was great, I thought, and then the second one would slow down, and the third one. But then I went back and I watched 4. I'm like, okay, you got me back in here, and it was so far like the longest Disney TV or Disney Plus TV series, like 13 episodes.
Is it really?
Where everything else is like 4, 5, 6. Well, at least the Marvel ones were really, really short. And then She-Hulk came.
Too much content. That's the thing, right?
Yeah.
It's almost like disposable income. You have to determine where you're going to spend your disposable income. It's almost like now I'm going to determine where I'm spending my disposable time.
Yeah, I'm wondering if we wanted it so much that we just got too greedy, and now it's too much.
I went to the comic book shop today, and I was talking with one of the guys that works there, and talking about trailers and have you seen this trailer? And he was going on about how he hasn't, and he's falling behind and needs to watch this show and that show, and we were just both chatting about how awesome it was when there was just 4 movies a year, 3 or 4 movies a year, and you could build up the anticipation, and when it came out you can talk about it and digest it for 3, 4, 5 months before the next one came out. But now it's almost like you have to ingest it, recollect on it, think about it before the next one starts in 2 weeks time. And it's definitely quantity over quality. And I know Kevin Feige was saying that he wants to get back to the reverse, where he wants to have it be more based on quality. And
I think you almost have to, even just from a financial perspective. I think the less you have, the more opportunity it has to make money.
Yeah.
Because I think that's kind of where we are now. Like Black Panther's not
supply and demand, right?
Yeah, it's not making the money that the first one did or many of the other ones, but there's nothing else coming out, so it continues to be number 1 at the box office.
Yeah. No, I would agree with that. And I, like when phase 1 and 2 were going on, I was like, oh, this is like a self-sustaining model that they have here. Like the gallery that Marvel has with all of its characters can, take this to 30 years and 40 years and whatnot. But at the pace they're going now, they're going to run out of characters to do a show or cameo or whatever within the next 10 years. Where it's like, just pump the brakes a little bit. Enjoy, slow it down. Don't announce like 2 separate Avengers movies. I think I'm kind of going into what the future holds for the MCU, but just going back on the content, just pump the brakes a little bit, slow down just a little bit,
Yeah, now we're getting series of things that I think no one asked for. Like Agatha's coming out. Once it starts filming in January, it's coming out next year.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Yeah. I don't see the connection. I mean, unless you read the West Coast Avengers, as when it was coming out, or the collected editions of it, you would have no idea who she is. And thank God for WandaVision, they introduced her as a character. But again, does she really justify, to your point, having a 5 or 6 episode series based on her? I don't know. I don't think so. I wouldn't say so, but we'll see.
Yeah. I wonder if, well, just I wonder, I did read that they're planning on doing more of those special presentations versus some movies and TV shows to introduce some of the, I think probably the lesser ones, or ones that probably wouldn't work as a full feature length.
Yeah.
So maybe they can do that instead. Introduce somebody on this and then have them just show up in something else. Almost like a bonus feature on a DVD.
Yeah, that's it. I'm just very happy that Phase 4 is done. I think we've talked about this quite a bit, and
yeah, you have a whole notebook dedicated to 4.
We had been meaning to get together for some time, and
yes,
and I think for me,
you were choking on your rage so much.
Yeah, and I have notes here, but what really was the straw that broke the camel's back is that Can I say that now, or is that politically incorrect if I say the straw that broke the
To
camel?
camels?
Yeah, whatever, it's fine.
We have to be careful for camels now.
I think so. I think you
Okay.
do. No, it was Thor. Thor just
Just
made
wrecked
me
you.
decide to, you know what, I'm done with this phase. I don't want to invest it into it anymore. But then She-Hulk came out and I was intrigued and I enjoyed that, but that's a separate conversation. But just Thor in general. So I took some notes. You can see here there are
Are they
lots
there?
of notes, some thoughts that I had, and it was written on September 12th, so it's going back a little ways. So, but I'm looking through it, and it's reminding me that, you know, you had Ragnarok, which was hilarious, and it's trying to be more comedic than Ragnarok, using the skills of Chris Hemsworth, who by and large is a very talented actor. He's charming, he's handsome, and he is a funny guy. Like he can hold his own when it comes to comedic chops. But I feel as though that movie it lost the gauge on the comedy, and the restraint from that was the issue. And throughout the whole marketing campaign and leading into the movie and the movie itself, Korg was a pillar of that. Whereas in Ragnarok, his dialogue was somewhat, modest, and it was there more in a supportive role. But now he was being used as a main character, and I think in he can be funny in small parts, but the amount of times that they used him didn't achieve that. So I'm just trying to go off of like the notes that I had, right? So I'm trying to like play it like I remember it, but
no, I get what you're saying. Like
so I see,
it's like Mater in Cars, right? He was good in the first one, but then you have a movie almost entirely devoted to
double
him.
down. And I feel like I found like he was almost entirely unfunny to the point where every time he was on the screen, he was annoying. And I felt what was worse is his screen time was taking away time from characters that we actually wanted to see and learn and watch, which was Valkyrie, which was, the mighty Thor. And I would say even above those two was Gore. Like it was, I would love to have. He's a very intriguing character. I'm not sure if you've had the chance to read the Jason Aaron comics that he wrote, where Gore was introduced, but it was very fascinating. Like he's a dark character.
Well, I was just say he's the God Butcher, and aside from his introductory scene, you don't see him butcher any gods.
It's all off camera.
Yeah,
it's all off camera. You see Sif with an arm taken off, and that's you assume that
and that entire scene was played for jokes.
Yeah. I feel like they learned all the wrong lessons from Ragnarok, just like they did with Iron Man, just like they did with Guardians of the Galaxy. And they're like, hey, rock and roll and comedy works, so let's fucking double down on it and see where it goes. And it's like, guys, like you gotta chill out. Like they have to have a story here a little bit. And what really pissed me off about it was Marvel in this whole phase. I find they're playing very loose and fast with the canon. Like, where did the Necro Sword come? Oh, who cares? Who is Gordon? Like, oh, it doesn't matter. And Destiny can grant any wish. Well, it's like, why didn't Thanos just got down instead of wasting 20 films trying Gauntlet? But I think what really pissed me off was the fact that Korg in the first movie was talking about how his mom and stepfather had a failed revolution, but then in this one it's like, oh, my two dads and the fire and all of this shit, and it's like, well, like, what is it, like what is, like, now he has two backstories? Like, it doesn't make any sense. And it just, that's why it pissed me off, like that movie in particular. And like there's pros and cons with all the movies of Phase 4, but with Thor specifically, it just, I was just disappointed in everything about that movie. And there were certainly some funny parts, like the goats were hilarious. Chris Hemsworth was hilarious, but just I felt it was the perfect example of failed experiment and representing that entire phase for Marvel.
It's like when you have the inmates from the asylum, right? Giving him Taka free reign. What do you think of Zeus? Russell Crowe's portrayal of Zeus.
Amazing. It was amazing. And like, you know me, when we talk about trailers and whatnot, like I try my best not to watch multiple trailers, and I, restrain myself from seeing who's in the movie or what the movie's about and all this, that, and the other. But his scene, like that 10 minutes, what was it? Olympi? It's not Olympias. Where was it that it was? It's been so long.
It's like some secret land of the gods.
It was amazing. Like he was amazing. It was amazing, and I felt like it definitely it got me. I would say the most exciting thing that came out of that movie for me, anyway, was seeing Hercules at the end of it. But again, my nitpick with that is, they go to someone who is well known and who's, a well-known commodity in that moment in time. And I don't know the actor's name, but he plays one of the characters in Ted Lasso. Lasso, and that's a show that's known by so many people, if not most people. Whereas Marvel used to go after the unrecognizable actor or actress, and bring them on and look for the talent as opposed to the face. So we'll see how that plays.
Because we didn't really know Chris Hemsworth leading into Thor.
Not really. I mean,
like Benedict Cumberbatch knew kind of, but
even like Mark Ruffalo was in some movies. He was in, one of my biggest guilty pleasures of all time in 13 going on 30. But aside from that, he wasn't an A-lister, actor. So yeah, I don't know. I feel that was my rant on Thor.
I think of it like Charlize showing up in Doctor Strange. Like that's an A-list Oscar winner. Yeah,
I just don't get it.
I guess they've pillaged all the mid-range, not too big, not too small people, and now have to go A-list and not take a chance on nobodies.
You know what? I think it's just they just got to the point where before they had to convince the A-listers in phases 1 and 2 to join on and play the role and take on a multi-film contract, and they're like, no, we're good. I'll just go for my other stories that are not comic book related. To the point they're at the point now where it's almost like it's a launching pad, or it's just like it's a level of relevance for actors to say, hey, I'm this character, and in the MCU, and they're just at that point, and I don't want to be that fanboy that bitches about it, but it's like, come on, like just get back to the basics here.
Yeah.
So
what was after? So after Thor, then She-Hulk was the next thing.
What did you think about that?
I dug it kind of about the midway point, and then
sorry, so you dug it at the beginning, or you dug it,
and then like after, I thought it was like, it was quirky, it was fun. I thought she was great, but then to me it just seemed to like meander and kind of lose its way. Like Wrecking Crew, like, oh, this is going somewhere, and then it didn't really. Just Charlie Cox showing up as Daredevil to me was always going to be the highlight of the season.
Yep.
But even that, like, I thought towards the end, like him showing up in the finale kind of was just like haphazardly thrown together.
Yeah, I don't see how they can go from taking Matt Murdock, who is a very normally well-reserved character and individual, and bringing him into this show where they have a one-nighter, and it's like he's walking down the street in his outfit and like saying hello to the person while he's walking on the sidewalk, to then going to Born Again, which I'm assuming is going to be a very serious. So I just like how do you like it's very disjointed in the use of that character. But you're right, he was the highlight of it, and I would agree with you in that. The Wrecking Crew thing kind of pissed me off because it's like, okay, like this is a B-list team of villains. Let's see what they'll do with it, and they end up going to some sanctuary, and you know, was it Crusher, who was, or Wrecking Ball, who was the guy making her coffee and staying there and whatnot.
Yeah.
I would say too that the breaking the fourth wall kind of took me out of it a little while, or at first, and then afterwards I was like, okay, this can work. This can work, because I read the Sensational She-Hulk graphic novel by John Byrne from like the 80s or whatever, and they broke the fourth wall with that. So I was like, okay, well, if it's like that, then I can appreciate them, why they're doing that. But yeah, I give it a B plus.
Not a D plus for Disney Plus.
But again, the other thing too is like not a single thing has advanced the story through like the end credit scenes, or
Yeah,
there's nothing.
I was gonna say, because we have um, Black Panther 2. It just seems like even with Doctor Strange, it seems like this phase, with the exception of Shang-Chi, which even in one of its scenes, what you would expect, progresses their story, but the overarching story hasn't moved. It's been all like, this is what's going to happen with these guys, but not the overall universe itself. It's all self-contained within the characters and what the next one could be about, if there is another one.
What came after Shang-Chi?
Spider-Man.
No Way Home? Really?
I think so.
Okay, because I was going to say, like,
the old Google machine up there.
I was going to say that with Shang-Chi, I give it kind of a benefit of the doubt, because it was affected by COVID, in the early days of the lockdowns and, restrictions. And so I kind of give it a pass.
Sorry, it was Eternals that was right after. Then Spider-Man.
Right, then Spider-Man.
Phase 4 kicked off with Black Widow.
And that was also affected. Like, that had a pushback beyond pushbacks. Like,
yeah.
But I would say Shang-Chi was probably not the tightest movie in the phase, but just given the circumstances that it was in, it was very level, and it didn't advance it greatly, but it was just a good story. Like, you took a B-list character and had some great action scenes. Mm-hmm. There was a few parts of it that were...
Yeah, I really dug the first half of that movie.
Until
they went street level, and then they went to wherever they ended up. And I thought, again, to your point with the comedy, I think they kind of overdid it with having Trevor show up.
Yeah.
It was fine. Like, he was fine, but throughout, like, the whole fighting scenes and stuff, like cutting to him for the comedy was a little bit much. And then it just became CG friggin' heaven with all the fighting. And then even that, like, I found, like, even the graphics during those fight scenes seem kind of sketch, which kind of take you out of it.
But then I also heard too that there was like a lot of CGI companies. Maybe I'm hearing it wrong, but something to the effect of, like, Marvel was not a good company to work for.
Oh yeah, nobody wants to work for Marvel movies because they are constantly
demand so much. Maybe, I guess,
demand so much with such little time. They're constantly making changes, which you can just see that from the trailers, like where you'll see Doctor Strange running down this alleyway, and then in the movies, in a forest or whatever. Not that any of that happened, but there's some scenes where people are in a back alley, and then that back alley is now, I think it was Ragnarok. It was Hela's like introduction with Thor, and like trailer, it's in an alley, and then the movie it's in Scotland and just like an open field.
What, the trailer was in an alleyway? Really?
Yeah, go back and watch. There's tons of scenes in those movies that are flipped from trailer to the actual movie.
See, there's no excuse for that, because that's pre-COVID. Like,
yeah, no, that's just them deciding, hey, this is probably better suited here instead. I don't know.
Well, the only show that I didn't watch at Phase 4 was Miss Marvel. Not that I hated it, but it's just, again, it came down to disposable time.
Yeah.
And
I thought it was fun in the beginning, and then it kind of just watched it just to be a completist.
Yeah.
To me, I lost interest in it, really. And it's not that it wasn't bad, it's just it just didn't hold my interest anymore.
No. But that's the thing, though. Like, does Miss Marvel really justify having a show of her own without being introduced in the previous feature film? You know, you're
No,
just
to me, they
basically
could have done like what they did with America Chavez and Doctor Strange. Give her a bit at the beginning to explain who she is, or like even that how they introduced Peter Parker. Just
yeah.
you can take like 20 minutes out of the movie, give a little bit of a backstory, but they like to take characters I guess most people don't know and really hammer home their origins now because they have time and things that they can put it on.
They're just assuming that people will go to the movies and pay whatever they pay, and they have carte blanche with it. Where, you know, I think to your point, that's a good suggestion. But then they should also consider doing something like the holiday special, which I haven't seen yet. But doing something like that, like a 45-minute special, introduce them, boom,
Yeah,
move on to the next thing. I
I think that's just the better play, especially if it's going to be like a team up, like Miss Marvel. Here's your 45 minutes special presentation, and now you can watch how her story is going to continue on in the movie.
in the
Not
Marvels, yeah.
give me 12 episodes of a series where you kind of really just have to drag it out for something that you had probably no other intention of doing.
You know, it's like the old adage, "Hey, Marvel, what time is it? Oh, let me build you a watch." It's like, no, I just need the time.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
need
it's
anything
true.
else.
And then, like I remember, and I think I've said this before, when they announced that they were going to do these Disney Plus series, they specifically said they were not going to be designed to have you sign up, watch. You can watch the movies, and these will run like they'll intertwine, and there'll be some relevant stuff, but you don't need to see it. But if you had not watched WandaVision going into Doctor Strange, you would have no idea what's going on. We're going to get the new Captain America movie. If you never watched Falcon and Winter Soldier, you're going to have no idea Sam's now Captain America or where the Thunderbolts are coming from.
So they knowingly or unknowingly created an incursion on themselves.
Oh, absolutely.
Two timelines there. Like, no, it's cool. Just, and then they're just, you know, like Venkman said, don't cross the streams. Across the streams.
Yeah, pretty much. Like you can, like the only one I think that you can kind of get away from with that is Loki. Loki, while I didn't introduce the whole concept of multiverse and timelines and things like that, we have the variants of Kang in that with was it He Who Remains?
He Who Remains, yeah.
So you don't need to see Jonathan Majors in that to know that he's going to be the villain in Ant-Man, because there'll be an explanation of who Kang is, because he never name drops Kang in that series, but it's the same actor. It's essentially the same character, right?
Yeah, he refers to him, right? Like through the
refers to as like, you think I'm bad, like wait to see my variants.
Yeah. I that was actually one of the properties of Phase 4 that I actually liked was Loki. I enjoyed it. And I think, I don't know if it's because Kang is one of my favorite characters, one of my favorite villains in Marvel, that I'm holding on hope that they'll do him right.
Yeah.
Which is probably the reason why I seem to enjoy Quantumania's trailer a lot. So we'll see. But they dropped a bunch of stuff for Phase 5 in the last couple of weeks, which is exciting. I'd say the last couple of months. Right?
Yeah, well, I think it's when the returns are coming back and you're seeing that your well-devoted fan base is kind of on edge and not the happiest. Yeah, you're like, well, let's give you a taste of what's coming.
Yeah. So what's next then? It would be Quantumania and then Guardians of the Galaxy 3, and then beyond that, I don't remember.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to talk about the trailers a little bit?
We can. I want to wrap up Phase 4's Black Panther, because you.
That was right. Yes.
The bright spot.
Yeah. Sorry. Did you enjoy it?
I did. I thought Angela Bassett crushed it.
Yeah, she really did.
Her arc, and that was the best. Like from the first trailer, I thought they would have went a different way. I thought maybe they would have had her as the villain. You know, like kind of being like not like a warlord, but almost like a dictator or something like that in Wakanda. Because, you know, she lost her husband, she lost her son. Like she's got nothing left to lose.
And you saw hints of it, right? You
Yeah,
saw hints of it in the movie where it's like, oh,
especially
her
at
son.
the like when she's
Yeah,
like at the UN or whatever,
yeah,
and they talk about how was it France and the US like try to make a move on them.
yeah.
I thought that was where it was going to go, but then it went the whole other way. I thought that would have been a little bit an interesting take.
Namor was awesome.
Yeah, I was surprised.
They he I feel like they portrayed him so perfectly in the sense of that balance between hero and anti-hero, where you see glimmers of like, okay, here's a compassionate, empathetic character or individual, but if you cross him the wrong way, he'll come down at you as hard as he possibly can.
I don't know much about the Submariner, but was he ever a villain, or was he always like?
Oh, he was a villain in the sense that he hated Earth dwellers or land dwellers.
Okay.
And if you go back to like the 60s and 70s or whatnot, it was because of they were polluting the earth, and they were making Atlantis more difficult to prosper because of everything that was going on in all of their wars and whatnot. So there were points where he he was a villain in that sense, but then he also he was a home wrecker too, because he got together with Sue Storm, and her and Reed Richards broke up for a little while, and she was dating him, and but then he also was a part of the Invaders, which with Captain America and the Human Torch, like not Johnny Storm Human Torch, but the original Human Torch, fought for the United States in the war. And so you see different aspects of him be the hero and be the villain. And that's why, for those reasons, I found that I was very intrigued and captivated when he was on screen, because and I think the light switch went off when Shuri was down. They don't call it Atlantis, so whatever they called it, I don't know. But he was explaining their ecosystem and their life, and how things work down there. And he was just seemed like a very kind man explaining his way of life. But then skip to the next act, and he's got his whole army fighting Wakandans. And so I was like, yeah, like this is Namor, right? And so I feel like, in the sense of as I'm speaking out loud, I'm thinking, Marvel really did something in terms of setting up the mutants for future phases. Miss Marvel, Professor X from the multiverse, Namor in Black Panther 2. Like they've now had 3 examples of mutants in the MCU. So maybe that was their play. Maybe they're slow playing the mutants in future phases. But
we're getting Wolverine, Deadpool 3.
Did Black Panther 2 have an end credit scene? Oh yeah, it was the introduction of his son.
Yeah, Prince
huge.
T'Challa.
As
I look at it, as they're trying to have their cake and eat it too.
Yeah,
we lost Chadwick, but we can keep the character because Secret Wars is coming, or we can just do something where he time jump and he's aged up.
Well, Kang Dynasty is all about time. Kang, that character, lives in time. So who knows? Maybe he brings. That's a very good point. Actually, I didn't think about that just until now. But yeah,
you gotta have your back pocket, because there's a ton of people who are just so misogynistic, are not going to watch a girl Black Panther, Miss Marvel, Captain Marvel. Was it whoever's taking over for Black Widow? Name escapes me right now.
Or
her sister.
Yeah, Natalina.
Right, and then we have they made Taskmaster a girl. Just like, it's all women. People don't like that. Oh
no.
Ironheart also getting a series on Disney Plus.
No woman's ever broken no bones before. Come on now. No. There's people
don't like that.
It's stupid. It really is. But I've been saying since the beginning, like, because there's always been that talk about, when the MCU machine was chugging along, and it was, that trajectory is going upwards, there was always that talk about how, oh, what are they going to do with, you know, when Evans and Hemsworth and Downey and, you know, all the, you know, Scarlet, when they're gonna have to be replaced at some point.
Yeah.
And I feel they're going to use Secret Wars as that opportunity, and that might be why they haven't introduced Miles yet, and they might wait for the Spider-Man 4 movie to happen after Secret Wars or leading up to Secret Wars, or I don't know, but I feel like Secret Wars and the Kang Dynasty is all about time and different Earths and incursions, and they have the perfect opportunity to reset the table essentially, and get that new Captain America in there, or get that new Thor in there, or whatever you want, new Black Panther. So we'll see.
But they won't do Iron Man because who can replace Robert Downey Jr.?
But they should. I mean,
they should.
Granted, like I think
because then you'll just have a more comics accurate Tony Stark.
He's just he's on this pedestal with the MCU, like, oh, it's, you know, because he, you know, his movie was the make or break for everything that we're experiencing now. And
and all he did was play himself.
And that's it. All he did was he just played himself. But they should totally, you know, recast him. Why not?
Well, we all thought that was going to happen in the multiverse, right? Multiverse of Madness. A rumor of Mr. Tom Cruise coming in.
Yeah. It was just 2 Earths, really. It was 616 and whatever Earth Mr. Fantastic and Black Bolt came from. Mind you, that was a pretty cool scene to see Reed Richards and to see comics accurate Black Bolt. That was awesome. But then they were just cannon fodder at the end of it.
That's right.
That pissed me off.
It was like X-Force in Deadpool 2.
Exactly. That's exactly.
Bring them all in and then.
Yeah, like, oh my God, they have Shatterstar? No, they don't. Don't have Shatterstar. You got shattered, but not in the way you'd think. So.
Pun intended.
Heyo.
Heyo. Oh yeah, you want to talk some trailers? So we watch a trailer and then talk about said trailer.
Okay.
We were gone for quite a while.
Ooh, seems a little loud there.
For you, it does.
Yeah, headphones.
Hello, we come in peace.
Wondergore? You gotta be on Wondergore. That was, see, it was good.
Comedy.
But then it gets heavy.
Don't forget where we came from.
I feel like those colors, there's significance with those colors of the spacesuits. There has to be.
I'm done running.
Like the Infinity Gems or something. And this too.
We'll all fly away together. One last time.
See, Groot looks different in that one scene. It's like he's stockier. Yeah. All right.
Kill one guy, one stupid guy who no one loves. Now you're just making it sad.
So June, was that May or June?
May.
From May. Okay. So what are your thoughts?
Well, wrong button. I want to say this is the end of the line for Rocket, but I think now that I watch it for a second time, it's too obvious.
Yeah.
But I still think it's the end. Well, this is the last one, right? So they're gonna whoever they decide to hang on to, but this whole team's finito, right? So I don't know. It's it's like yeah, I don't know. I think it's far definitely, despite the comedic aspect of what they've been showing so far, it does seem like it's going to be probably the far more serious one of all of them.
Yeah.
I do hope, like to your point from before, when we had the first Guardians, but then we had James Gunn get free reign to do his own thing with the second one, which was not as great. But we don't have the same issue here as we did with Thor, where it's just too much of James Gunn. Because that was the problem I had with Suicide Squad. Like that was, and even Peacemaker, I thought was a little much.
Yeah, Peacemaker was like
too James Gunny for my liking.
Like Guardians 2 was a little too much on the music piece, and then like from Guardians 1, like Groot was amazing, so let's give you Dancing Groot.
Yeah, Baby Groot.
Baby Groot, yeah. I feel like right away in this trailer, it's like, oh, we've been gone a little while, and that's definitely a nod. It has to be a nod to the whole shit show that was happening with James Gunn being fired and then brought back, and the actors. And I feel like that's a bit of a nod there. But I do love the somewhat comic accurate costumes that they walk out on. I feel it's
sad that it takes like a trilogy of movies to finally get them to look like they're supposed to.
Well, and especially with this property too, like this property, when this came out in phase 2, and so like if you go back to when phase 2 is going on, Marvel was an unstoppable machine, and they were basically like, any property we do, it's going to be successful. People are going to consume it in droves and make hundreds upon hundreds of millions of dollars. But then there was starting to be those properties that were like, okay, well, if anything's going to break the system, it's going to be Guardians of the Galaxy. Like, who the hell? No one knows about Groot. No one knows about, the cosmic part of Marvel. And
Talking Raccoon, were you nuts?
Yeah, and they defied the odds. And then they thought the same thing about Ant-Man, and Ant-Man was charming. So I think when it first came out, they were a bit more oblivious to the risks, I guess, and now I think they just need to go back to the basics, more reserved. And I don't know how I feel about Adam Warlock just yet.
Yeah,
because it is
just the Adam Warlock I was expecting.
No,
at least that first shot of him. I know it's one shot, but still,
it kind of looks like a TV. Like, am I watching like Smallville or The Flash? Or you know what I mean, like
Golden Face from Threat Level Midnight.
Yes, exactly. I just don't know how I'm gonna feel. Is it gonna be a Jim, or is it gonna be a Dwight? And at this point, I don't know. The music too, like the music, I felt like it was a bit of a trajectory. In the first one they had it was very 70s influence, and I found while in the second one there was still some 70s, but there's still some 80s that were sprinkled in, and now this one from Space Hog is from the 90s, and so I feel like it's the maturity of the franchise. But I agree. I don't think that it's the end of the line for Rocket. I feel like it's like they're trying to entice you with that theory,
Yeah.
But I feel like a lot of shit's gonna get thrown down in this movie. Like some things are gonna happen. High Evolutionary looks exciting. I'm excited to see that. They even like we watched Oliver and I watched Guardians of the Galaxy 1 last week because he saw the trailer and he's like, I've never seen the first two. I was like, well, let's watch them. And you could start like in the first one. There was the scene where they were sitting around coming up with the plan and Ronan. Rocket was saying how he didn't become what he was and like didn't ask to get experiments on. So, in retrospect, you're kind of seeing those little nods to the High Evolutionary. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out, I would say. But I would say a thumbs up for the movie or for the trailer.
3 movies in and you get a character origin story. See, that's how you're supposed to do it. Don't do a whole Disney Plus series.
That's right. Yeah, no, just yeah. But I'm like I said, I'm gonna need a bit more convincing for Adam Warlock. Just a bit more.
But you're not gonna watch any more
We'll
trailers,
see.
so how will you know?
No, I'm gonna try not to. I'm gonna try not to. It's so hard. Let's be honest.
Even if you don't want to, it's gonna show up somewhere else.
Yeah, like there's no way unless you like delete your apps. That's what I did for the Astros on Game 6 because we had people that were staying over and it was Game 6, so I deleted every app on my phone. I turned off my phone, and I was able to save the game for the next day and not be spoiled. So that was a nice surprise.
Damn company.
I tell you.
All right, Quantumania. Let's check this one out. 70s.
Yeah.
A regression in maturity.
Yeah.
But everywhere I go, people tell me the same thing.
Thank you, Spider-Man.
People still need help, Dad. That's why we made this. It's like a satellite for deep space, but quanta.
Wait a minute. You're sending a signal down to
See.
the quantum realm.
Yeah, this is exciting.
Turn it off. Now.
So was Kang put there, or was he purposely staying in Quantumania or Quantum Realm?
Oh, I mean, like he was like jailed or something. Like
Yeah.
almost.
Mm-hmm. That's what I'm interested to learn.
It's a secret universe beneath ours. What are you so afraid of?
There's something I never told you.
Oh, man.
It isn't what you think.
So who does he play? Honestly, Bill Murray.
I can remember. I'll look it up.
If you help me. So, what's it gonna be? Batman.
Oh my God, so amazing, so amazing. Yeah, sold. Take my money.
Shut up
Take
and take my
my
money.
money. Honestly, it's I mentioned Kang is one of my favorite villains, and just his like how he's portrayed in this 2-minute trailer. The rest of the movie can be shit. It's worth it to me just to go to that movie and see what I've seen just on a bigger screen.
According to Google, Google, it's all accurate.
100%.
Krylar is a lesser-known MCU character, believed to be an old acquaintance of Janet Van Dyne.
Oh, okay. No, that's interesting.
I'm sure there's more to him than meets the eye, because that's usually how these things work. You're not going to just bring in somebody for an obscure one-off little scene.
How awesome though does Kang look in this trailer? It's unbelievable. Like this, like when he's floating down on the sphere, like, whew. Yeah.
So going back to our previous conversation, you think in Shang-Chi that's the beacon that they're getting? Is Kang down in the quantum realm?
It could be. I mean, because I remember, I think we talked about it. Like I thought, oh, it could be Galactus, a beacon, or the Silver Surfer looking for Earths that the Galactus, should devour. But like we are nowhere even close to talking about Galactus. So the next logical step would be the beacon down from the quantum verse. Yeah, so that would make sense.
Well, those rings kind of look like the 10 rings.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe that's the tech.
Was he? Yeah, no.
Tech.
Was he was he hiding there in plain sight, or like did he go there on purpose, or was he imprisoned there following the war that He Who Remains was talking about? Like that might be like really an insignificant part of the story, but I feel it's an interesting one. You know, if he lost the war with all of the variants and he was put down there, and then he amassed and waited for, because again, like Kang, his whole thing is time. He's got all the time in the world, so he could be a prisoner down there, but he just needs to wait for his perfect time to strike and build up his army and his masses and whatnot. So when's this one coming out?
February.
Oh, so close.
But still,
so far.
Still like a month and a half.
That's not that bad, though.
No.
Think about it.
It's also like, considering we're almost at mid-December now. This comes out in February. We just got this trailer, like, what, a couple weeks ago?
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe a bit longer. But yeah, I'd say about a month ago tops for sure.
Like really keeping it close to the vest.
It's Marvel, really going with the 70s songs as their trailer choice. A little Elton John,
that seems to be kind of what they do, right? We had
like
Black Sabbath and AC/DC and stuff with the Iron Man trailers, and
that's true. That's true. Of
all the characters, of all the characters that they've done movies for, did you ever think you'd get 3 Ant-Mans?
No. Well, it just goes back to my whole, what I just mentioned a few minutes ago about how they thought that like Guardians of the Galaxy and Ant-Man are both trilogies. Like, let's talk about that for a second. When
Superman with Henry Cavill didn't even get a second movie for himself.
No, I know, it's crazy. Like we haven't even seen the Fantastic Four, like the first family of Marvel Comics. We haven't even seen them once, and we've got a trilogy.
Well, we got one Reed Richards in the MCU for a minute,
right?
And then he became Noodles.
Yes,
Noodle-fied.
Yeah, I think I'm just hopelessly holding out for Phase 5 to be that redeeming phase. We'll see. Yeah, we'll see. I really hope so, though. I really hope that they get back to.
I don't think you can get any worse. I don't think. I hope not.
Yeah, that's a good point. What?
It's not DC here.
What are we watching now?
Although you liked Black Adam.
I did. I didn't mind it. I had a few things I didn't like about it, but for the most part, I didn't mind it at all. I got this guy right here.
He is.
Dr. Fate.
Nice. I have that too. Well, Parker has that.
He was the best part of that movie, I found. Are we jumping into Black Adam right now?
I haven't seen it, but you want to talk about it? Go ahead.
Oh, you haven't seen it?
I have not seen a DC movie outside of Man of Steel, the 2 Wonder Womans, and James Gunn's Suicide Squad. The rest I have not watched.
Wow.
Just from no interest. And even then, it was it's COVID, and look, we're getting a big release coming home. Let's watch it from home with Wonder Woman 84, and I regret that decision to this day.
What
a piece of shit that movie was.
Yeah, and just like and the thing is too with the Wonder Woman 1984, like the trailer was like, oh yeah, they're gonna, and I love everything about the decade that is the 80s. The music, the clothing, like the movies, like everything, the toys, everything with the 80s. I'm just so nostalgic for it.
You cannot go wrong with the 80s.
No, you really can't.
That is why like season 3 of Stranger Things is the best.
I haven't seen it. I've only seen season 1. But that's why Goldbergs is one of the best TV shows that's ever been created. Yeah. But for Wonder Woman, they didn't even play on any of the music outside of the trailer.
One scene.
It was one scene, and it was terrible.
It was at the beginning of the movie.
So disappointing. Black Adam, without spoiling anything, my elevator pitch was it was a good movie. It tried to achieve the innocent charm that Shazam had, but it didn't, because unlike Shazam, where it didn't have a benchmark to go off of, it just organically became the movie that it was, which I thought it was a good movie. Black Adam had Shazam to compare it to. But I felt like The Rock was misused in the sense that a lot of the movies that he's in, he relies on the charm that he has. He relies on, his big stature and, and his charm. I think is just what it boils down to. And there was a very strong lack of that in the movie. Lots of one-liners and, open closed conversations. And it wasn't what we're used to traditionally seeing from The Rock. And then the last thing was the kid that's in the movie tries to, again, going back to Shazam, compare himself to Freddie. I want to say Freddie Freeman, but Freddie, the Billy's friend. And it didn't work. It didn't work. Dr. Fate was amazing. Atom Smasher was amazing. Hawkman was amazing. Like the whole JSA was amazing, and they could really do something interesting with the GSA if they had just played their history a bit more, played on their history a bit more. But that's all I'll say. Good movie. Won't really turn the needle or push the needle in terms of the DCEU. Mind you, nothing will, because they're just hopeless.
They're all over the place.
They don't know what they want to be. But yeah.
Right on.
That was my elevator pitch. I'm gonna ask you.
I don't know if I will watch it, but it's all right. I'll take that under advisement. And
yeah, I mean, it was good. Did you like Shazam?
I never saw Shazam.
Oh, see, you have to watch Shazam. It's good.
Like I know enough about Shazam to know who Black Adam is.
Shazam's good. It's actually
my biggest beef is taking all the villains / anti-heroes movies about them. They should be where they belong, which is the villains of the heroes that they were known to be part of. We don't need a Venom movie. Put Venom in with Spider-Man. Put Black Adam against Shazam, or as they were alluding to, against Superman. Don't give them their own movies.
Would you say the same for Deadpool then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Put Deadpool against
X-Men.
The X-Men, or
Wolverine,
or even have him against Spider-Man. Put the Punisher against Spider-Man.
I just feel like with DC, they've really lost the opportunity to set things up the way that they should.
Like, why are we going Black Adam movie? Why are they not doing Green Arrow? Like, build off what the fan base that you had from 8 years of a TV series.
But they got a Blue Beetle movie coming out because fans are screaming for Blue Beetle to come out. And they're like, no, I want a Blue Beetle movie.
I didn't mind Blue Beetle in an episode of Batman Brave and Bold. That's like the extent I needed to see a Blue Beetle.
Yeah.
But that's kind of the same thing, right? He's just like a kid, right? Like a teenager.
Well, there's like
that's one incarnation of him.
The Reyes, what's his name? Jimmy Reyes or something like that.
Mm-hmm. That's what I'm familiar with.
He's just a kid, yeah. And that's it. I feel like that's what the movie's going to be going off of. But yeah, like it would be awesome if DC could get their shit straight and build a universe that is intriguing, because they've got a lot of great storylines that they could pull out of. But they just need to reset it. But we'll see. I mean, James Gunn is the guy now.
He is. So which means you'll get the most obscure heroes and characters showing up in their movies.
And the best classic rock soundtrack that you've ever heard.
Yeah.
Lots of dancing, lots of 70s rock.
Yeah, we'll be building around Zantana with Santana.
That's right.
As a soundtrack.
That's right. 100%. Oh, yes. Zatanna, starring Santana.
That's right.
As part of the soundtrack. Yeah, we'll see. What else is going on with?
Oh, we're just a few short days or weeks now till Christmas.
Yeah, so you have started your 25 days of viewing.
That's right.
Is
I have.
this the Christmas? You need to give me a backstory on how long you've been doing that, and where the idea came from.
I think it really. I started doing it. I'll turn this up music. That was more just for effect.
It worked.
Like we always used to watch it whenever, but me dedicating 25 days kind of started with quarantine and being locked down. It's just I had nothing else to do. So this will be the third year. Really, I think I've picked something every single day.
And would you say, for the most part, is it the same 25 movies each year, or have you removed some? Have you added some?
Yeah, I've
different orders. Like I guess I would imagine
orders. Yeah,
orders
different
doesn't
swapping
matter.
things out. Maybe less, not necessarily all the movies. Throw in a couple TV specials or episodes of TV shows and watch a couple of them. Yeah. Like this year, I think there'll be some new additions just because we have that. I haven't watched the sequel yet or the new sequel for Christmas Story.
We start watching it tonight.
Yeah, so I'm gonna watch Christmas Story first, then watch that one. Disney Plus has the Santa Claus series.
Yeah.
The Tim don't know if I'll get. Yeah. I don't know if I'll get around to that because it's still going on. I think it wraps up end of this week. I think this week, Thursday.
Yeah, I have an opinion about that. Tim Allen.
Go ahead.
So Tim Allen, Christmas.
No, Tim Allen, or about the series?
No, the movie. The movie, okay. The first one, the Santa Claus, came out in at the peak of his career. Home Improvement was flying high. He was an A-list TV guy. This came out. We watched the movie, I'd say, about maybe a month ago, and it was the second time I saw it since it had come out in the 90s. It is a very dark movie. If you really dive into it and consider that, here's the story of a kid that gets his father taken away from him, and he basically loses his father.
It's divorced family too, right?
And it's a broken family. And here's a movie about how this kid who is holding on to belief about the character that his dad is, the person that his dad is, while everyone around him is saying he should be institutionalized.
Yep.
And Santa dies within like the first 5 minutes of the movie, 10 minutes of the movie. And it's just like, as an adult, I'm watching, Jade and I are watching this with the boys, and I'm looking at her like, what the fuck?
But the movie's about your belief in Santa Claus and holding on to that, despite all of it. That's what I was trying to instill in my kids. Summer's 9 and starting to question. And so I'm sure I'm like, see, like he says he doesn't believe in Santa Claus. Well, there's Santa Claus.
Yeah. It was a good movie. It was a bit more. More darker than I thought it would be. A bit more real.
And then like when the kid gets dropped off he's also late at his business Christmas party, lying on the phone with the ex-wife about why he's late, saying he's in a traffic jam. And then telling the kid that there's a Santa Claus because the stepdad says there is no Santa Claus.
Yeah.
And then Judge throughout the rest of the first act of the movie, he's constantly telling the kid there is no Santa Claus, despite just telling him that there is.
Very off character for Judge Reinhold. Like that's not my Judge Reinhold.
No,
my Judge Reinhold is the quirky, lovable character from Beverly Hills Cop. Not this asshole.
No,
telling kids every opportunity there's no Santa Claus.
He stopped believing in Santa Claus at 3 years old because he didn't get the present that he wanted.
Well, that's
the Oscar Mayer Winnie whistle.
And he turns around and blames on every other kid and ruins every other kid's innocence.
I do like the kids. Charlie's argument with them when he's asking all those questions about how can Santa do this all one night, and have you ever seen a reindeer fly? And the kid's just like, have you ever seen $1 million? He's like, no. Well, just because you haven't seen it doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
Aha, yes, that's right. Yeah, it was.
But the court battle in there and the removal of visitation rights.
Just like a dark movie. But then, I found that to be because Oliver's 10 and he's for God bless him, he's holding on to the belief, because he told me last week, he's like, I know Santa's real. I was like, tell me how you know. So, because the handwriting's different. I'm like, fuck yeah, it still works.
So we have this app on my phone where you can kind of, through augmented reality, like superimpose Santa Claus, and you take a picture of your tree, you can have him there. But there's also one that shows like him in the sleigh. I'll send it to you. But I took a picture from my window outside, and then I added the reindeer to it, and I put a fade on it so it looked like it was in the distance. And I showed it to my kids last year, and Summer's like, I'm pretty sure I heard thumping on the roof last night. So like, oh yeah, that must have been after he left the house. She's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure I heard it.
Amazing. That's amazing. You need to send me this app.
Yeah, no, it's great. We've been doing it for the last few years, and we always kept saying like, oh, we left the iPad or whatever down, and I caught a picture of him, and try to blur it so it looks like he's moving around and stuff.
Yeah. So
and anything to trick them. Give them Christmas spirit.
You know what? Yeah, not trick. It's just just like shoveling hope down their throats.
Yeah. Let them be his kids as long as they can.
Yeah, innocence, magic, whatever you want to call it. Okay, so a couple of important questions for you. Are the following movies included this year? Scrooged?
Yes.
4 Christmases?
Already watched it.
Nice. Oh yes, you did. I think
I did. It was like the second day or something. I'm kind of trying to group them too. Like I did Fred Claus and 4 Christmases, so I got the Vince Vaughn.
The last movie is the Santa Claus movie with Dudley Moore and John Lithgow.
I don't know. Put that in there just to make sure. Here's my Post-its.
Where's my Santa Claus? My Santa Claus list. No, it's a good movie. Those are staples.
Yeah, I have them all in a folder, and I kind of just scroll through, and I get to a certain point. Here it is.
Yeah, it's
I don't think it's in a long time.
The Santa Claus movie, John Lithgow, Dudley Moore. It's great. It's a great movie.
Trading Places is coming up on my list.
Oh, you can't stream that anywhere.
No?
No.
Terrible. Just terrible.
I know, because I want to watch that with Jade. 1983. It's a classic. What was the guy's name? What was Eddie Murphy's character's name? Billy
Valentine.
Billy Valentine. That's it. Yeah. We actually last weekend, the weekend that we had friends over where I missed the baseball game, we were playing Scattergories, and it had been a minute since I had played Scattergories. Have you played Scattergories?
Yeah, I know it's been a long time.
So essentially,
I haven't played board games in quite a while.
You have your card, and there's like 12 questions.
Yep.
Name the city or whatever, actor or boy's name, girl's name, whatever, and you have to roll the dice with the letter, and then each letter has to be the letter has to be the first letter in that word for that question. Mm-hmm. Well, I had a few drinks. I was misreading it. And the first question was a boy's name, and it was W. And I'm going off, and I'm writing every boy's name that starts with the W that I know. And I've got to like 9 or 10. And I'm seeing everyone else just like scratching their pen so fast. And I'm like, how are they coming up with all these W names?
Yeah.
Anyway, Winthrop was one of the names that I came up with because I was, clawing for anything. And I thought of Trading Places because the two brothers, their last names were Winthrop. And
Winthrop.
It was a long-winded story for what are you going to do? So we have our Christmas list consists of Scrooged, Love Actually, 4 Christmases, Home Alone. These are ones that we still have to watch. Yeah. And then on Christmas Eve, it's always A Christmas Story and National Lampoons. Can't watch them until Christmas Eve. And I think that's a bit. We've watched all the claymation ones, like the
Rankin and Bass ones.
Rankin and Bass. Thank you. We've already seen those. Polar Express we watched last night.
Being an adult now and watching them and just looking at them for what they are so fucked up.
In what sense?
just like Rudolph, like King Moonrazer. Like you have an Aslan lion figure, like head of this island of misfit toys. Like that makes no sense.
No, it's like well, this is when LSD was very big.
I was gonna say they probably popped some of that. Just like then
get back from
someone must have been a huge fan of Lion Witch and the Roadrome.
They get back from Woodsgate or Woodstock and have to start planning this show, so it makes sense.
Although I haven't seen people pointing out like the silliness of some of those toys, like the gun that shoots jelly. Just don't put jelly in it.
Yeah, just avoid
a plush elephant with spots. Okay, people will still play with it.
No. Yeah, it's we actually there's a street down the house here from the house here, and we call it the street of misfit houses, because it's that one street where every house is just different, and it doesn't look like a normal street. It doesn't belong,
One of these things is not like the other.
One of the houses has a lion at the end. They proclaim themselves to be the king of the street. It's just a whole thing. It's just a whole thing. Politics, I tell you. Yeah.
You artificial tree or real tree?
Artificial.
Yeah.
You?
Same here. I was going to Stittsville, picking up some last minute items, and I drove past. There's a TD, and next to it was like a mini tree lot, and with it was this old beat up camper, which I guess is like the office. And I thought that is the quintessential tree lot that you see from all like movies and TV shows of where they have the little beat up camper where like the old man and his wife that that they've been doing this for 40 some years. That's where they keep the cash, and then they come out whenever they see somebody and sells them like the 6-footer.
I've never had an interest in real trees, mainly for the only reason that it frightens me, because I've just heard stories. Maybe it was my mom telling me when I was a kid, where they dry out and you got to be very careful, and you always got to make sure they're watered, and it just instilled this, this fear of, oh, well, I guess if we have a real tree, the house is going to burn down.
Well, it's true. Like it's like it's heavy management there. You gotta. They tell you to anchor them because they could fall over. Almost everyone I know who has a real one is always having problems trying to get it to sit in the stand properly, because you got to screw them in and
100%
puncture the stump, so you goes all the way through and breaks the tree. And
it's just too much, and the sap and like the pine needles, and no, I'm good. Artificial all the way.
Pre-lit, or do you put lights on?
Yeah, pre-lit. I mean,
of course. The hours and frustration of wrapping those lights around.
And that's the thing. Like Jade used to do it herself, and I would just sit there and like help her. I was the helper.
Supervise.
Because little known fact about Steve McCoy, he hates anything that has to do with cords. I hate cords. Everything. If I could be,
I get it.
If I could live a wireless life, I would be the happiest person in the world.
Yeah, so almost everything I have, I look for see if there's an option of having something wireless. Yeah. Like if I have a lamp, is there any way I can get some sort of setup where I can have this lamp in the other corner,
100%,
but not run a cable?
Yeah, like I have, like this is what I have right beside me.
Mm-hmm. It's driving me nuts.
And for the good listener, it's a cord from my microphone to the laptop, and it's driving me crazy. Just
my setup's pretty bad too, because it's like, as we've established, it's been a while. Yeah. So all my shit's been thrown on this desk, and I've not cleaned it up. And it's kind of what I'm.
So yeah, it's definitely pre-lit. It has to be. It has to be. We've done the stringing up lights ourselves for too long. It's like it's over. It's done. We've reached that new level in our age, Cory.
Oh no, I'm with you. Right? I'm younger, but I'm still with you. Anything to save some time and 100%, frustration.
100%. Now, when do you keep your tree up till?
New Year's.
New Year's, wow! Like New Year's Day.
New Year, start fresh. It's not my call. That's the manager, the boss.
When do you put it up?
Usually the 1st of December. So you get the month.
Okay, so for a solid month. Okay, so I'm kind of right there with you. We put ours up first weekend of
Well, it depends. Like
December.
I worked that first weekend of December, so we did it a bit earlier.
Yeah,
But it's usually around the beginning of December.
yeah. Jade generally likes to take it down before the kids are back at school after the holiday break. So that typically means that January 1st, 2nd, or 3rd, it's done. And for me, it's like I'm okay for like another week after. Like I'm still kind of festive, right?
Yeah.
Like this
Yeah,
year.
I guess after the kids' holiday for sure. Once they're
Yeah.
back in school, the holiday's over, then you can take it down. But yeah,
100%.
right the day after for sure.
Like the boys are off. They're off 23rd is their last day. They're back on the 9th. So I take my vacation the same time as them. So for me, my vacation is up until the 9th. Well, that's almost 2 weeks past New Year's Day. So I'm okay for the tree to be up. Will it be up? No, not a chance.
No.
Not a chance.
Yeah,
but
we're
I'll try.
we're terrified of those 2 weeks because they end before the day before Christmas Eve, and then the full 2 weeks, there's no more holiday. Christmas is over.
Yeah.
So it's just 2 weeks of how do you fill that time?
Post Christmas.
Yeah.
We have some family coming in, so we'll be preoccupied for the boys, which is good.
We don't though. Like we have everything pre-planned before because I'm basically working all after that.
Yeah.
And also it just works out better with everyone's schedules. So I think by the 18th we would have seen almost everybody.
Yeah. See,
like we were just at my grandma's today
for Christmas.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because we're away next weekend, and then the weekend after is Christmas, and she'll be at my mom's for that.
And you say you're working for most of the season?
Yeah.
Everybody's
off.
Is the Bell Capital Cup happening this year?
I think so. I haven't heard.
Okay.
Either way, but I think so.
Curious. Yeah. You raise a good point though, right? Like 3 days into vacation, Christmas is finito.
Yeah, and they're older, so they get bored faster.
Well, we have the outdoor rink again this year.
There you go.
So I'm hoping that's gonna kill some time with the boys. I filled it on Thursday.
It stays cold, right? Now we're getting some minuses.
Yeah. I made the mistake last year of filling it way too early. I think it was November. And I have my neighbor, one of his trees still has like 40% of its leaves on it. I don't know how, but it still does. Wow. And it's right in line with the rink. So last year there was more at this point, and it would just keep falling into the water, into the ice and whatnot. And leaves are terrible for ice because it attracts heat. You get the little indents of the leaves. It's a bad thing. So I waited this year for as long as I could, filled it on Thursday, and luckily enough, we've had days upon days of minus temperatures. It's been great. So we'll be using.
Is yours like the bag that you fill up and then just cut it open, or
no, it's like a tarp.
Okay.
So it's got boards all around that I use like joints to frames or whatever. I don't know. I'm not like not good. The things that connect the wood.
Yeah, right.
and then I lay the tarp and then
nail dealies.
Yeah, those things.
The dealies.
Yeah. And fill it up with water and just let it freeze. And it's worked out so far. I've got a bit of an incline.
Yeah, me too.
On the hill. So it's I've got on one side 9.5 inches of ice, and then on the other side I've got about 4. So it's
we have that problem with pools in our backyard because we have a storm sewer that's just like adjacent to our yard, so everything slopes towards it.
Yeah.
So you'll get the one side of the pool great, and then the one's like the inflatable end of it or whatever is just hanging down.
That's right. Yeah. Everybody on this side of the pool now.
The shallow end, and then you have the deep end.
That's right. That's how you label it, right? Like this is the shallow end. This is the deep end.
So it has like the fill line that what's well past, and this one's nowhere near.
Yeah. This one's like not above the pump. This one's well above it. Yeah. No, that's exactly it. So
why can't everything just be level?
I tell you, I don't know. So what's the plan for the new year then? We're gonna get back on the train.
That's the plan. I think so.
I think we should.
It's doable. Life is slowing down a bit. a bit.
It's the holidays, right? And then summer,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
just there's always these things that come up. So
Yeah, this was the most active I've been in a summer in ever.
it's 2 years of not doing anything that's caused that.
That has to be it, because I never take a vacation. I took quite a few.
Did you stay anywhere in Ontario that wasn't like?
Yeah, we have Ashley's family has cabins. We were up there by the water for like a week, 2 weeks.
They had a tax credit that you can claim on next year's tax return if you stay at any campground or hotel in Ontario.
Take that, government.
Yeah. Throw that down your face, Ford. So
Yeah.
Do that.
Nice.
Yeah.
And now it's cold. Now
just like that. Just like that. You know what?
Blink and you miss it.
It's I always say it's like in like a lamb, out like a lion. We get these winters that kind of just nice, and boom, it hits you, and then it takes forever for it to leave.
Yeah, like today.
Yeah, like where the hell did that come from? So I decided we got a ring doorbell, and figured today was the best day to install it, and not just install it, but unhook the existing doorbell and put Moretz on the wires and
smart. Didn't do the battery operated one.
No, and I did do the battery operated ring.
Okay,
is what I'm saying. But my point being is that I started to install it, and then all of a sudden a snowstorm started, and I was like, "Oh, this is great! Now I've got to race against time."
Yeah.
Before I get 11 centimeters of snow against my back, but I did it. So you're saying that the battery dies pretty quick on that one, eh?
I know I don't know if it's the ring one specifically, but I know
nice back.
When I was looking at I was looking at the Google one, the Nest one, and I was talking to the guy at Best Buy, but this is a couple years ago, and that's what he said. At least that Nest version was the one that, and I looked it up. The reviews were terrible for it anyway. So,
because that was my first thing too, is like, how long is the battery gonna last for?
Like I got it as a gift a couple of years ago. It's not a doorbell camera, but it's a quasi battery operated security camera, and we have it pointing at our door, kind of hidden. But it's lasted the winter. Like it dies no different. Like the battery the battery lasts just as long in the summer as it does in the winter. So it could just be the device.
Yeah.
That at the time, again, that was
it's
3-4 years ago.
It's the first time in, I want to say years, where I've just been hoping for someone to knock or ring the doorbell all day. Like we got it installed. Like, hopefully someone rings the doorbell soon. Like hopefully
it's that Simpsons episode.
Soon. Yeah, honestly. And wouldn't you know it, our neighbor came by tonight before we started recording and gave us a Christmas card, rang on the doorbell. It was awesome. It works.
Yeah, that's what you were going for. I don't know if this works, and you don't want to press it yourself.
No. It was it worked out great. So
it's always recording, is my understanding.
No, I think
activated recording.
I don't know.
Okay,
I don't know. I want to say that I can do a
no. Gotcha.
I can do a live view. It's a good picture.
Yeah, like it.
Like it's very clear. But yeah, I don't know. Things that you'll learn, right?
Yeah.
Along the way.
Like this Cyber Monday, I bought some Wi-Fi enabled plugs.
Oh, I have those.
Been playing with those. They were $3. So why would you not get them?
So what are you using them for?
The Christmas tree.
Okay, that's a good one.
I have a light, my lamp in my family room, which is not attached to a light switch. So I can just press the button and on it goes.
Amazing.
And then I got an outdoor one for the outdoor lights.
Oh, that's smart.
It's a little more, that one wasn't on sale, but I got that at Home Depot with a gift card.
So you can just keep it plugged in and then you just turn it on with the app when you want to.
Yep. Okay. Or just say, "Hey Google, turn her on."
Oh, and she listens. We have the other female. I can't say her name because she's right here. But yeah, like I have the show, so when I'm working now, if someone rings the doorbell, I'll be able to see who it is. I'd be able to talk to them.
Yeah,
it's great. Mess with them. Leave it
it's
on the
amazing
doorstep.
how there's
Get the hell out of here.
Like, I understand why there isn't, but it's amazing how there's not a cross like synergy between the Googles and the Alexas and the Apple homes. Like I have an iPhone, but I can have Google Assistant on it and have Google do all my shit from my iPhone, but I can't say it to my Fire TV to change the channel through Google.
Yeah, there's limitations, right?
Yeah.
I'm an Apple guy too, but we use I don't have a Google. What's Google's name? George? Is it George?
No, just Google.
Just Google.
You just say, "Hey Google."
Can you rename it?
No, I thought you could. I heard there was talk of it somewhere, but then it turned into one of those. Why would we do that? Because we're Google, so just say our name. If I could, everything would be Jarvis. Like, seriously.
So we have 3 of them in the house. One in my office here, and then one in the kitchen. The one in the kitchen, I feel is like a. This one is. The other one is just like the second generation circle. Yeah. But I feel as though it's like a teenager because I'm like, hey, play Moose FM 97.7. And it's like, it's like that Kramer, the Kramer in that Seinfeld episode. Play Brown Eyed Girls. Why don't you just tell me the name of the movie you want to play? It just doesn't listen to me ever.
Yeah, the kids have like one. I always ask if they can turn the tree on, but they talk too fast and Google can't pick it up.
Yeah,
and yeah, sometimes you get the "Hey Google, do this," and like a song will start playing. Like, no, I literally asked you to turn it on the Christmas tree, not play "Rock Around the Christmas Tree."
Yeah, I asked to listen to some Christmas music, and you decided to play Gore. Like, what is the disconnect here? And I'm pronunciating my words and still doesn't listen to me. I feel like it has it out for me.
I don't know about Alexa, but I know Google, you can have it set up where it only recognizes certain voices. So it knows not to pick up noise if they hear something like in the background. I don't have it turned on because everybody's talking to it. So
not mine. I haven't checked if it can do that, but maybe it can. It doesn't listen to me regardless. So
preview of the teenage life with the boys.
That's it. It's almost like, when the boys hit teenage years, she's going to say, I told you.
Yeah. It's like when people get a dog and to prepare for parenting.
No.
You got an assistant, voice activated assistant to not listen. For teenagers.
It's amazing. I love it so much. No. It's helpful with some things. I mean, it really is.
Yeah, like I can have it set my schedule for when I want to turn the lights on and off. It's like, hey Google, turn the Christmas lights on at 4:30 every day.
Yeah, I should do that. I've been having a bit of an issue with my Christmas lights. I've had to go up and take them down now. This will be the 3rd time because I've got three strings of lights attached, and it's the middle one that keeps breaking. So on one side of the house, I got my Christmas lights working. On the other side of the house, I do, but right above my garage, it doesn't.
That's
so I got to go up and
some faulty fuse or something in there.
Well, I
guess there are breakers now, not fuses. Individual breakers in the lights.
They might be. I don't know. Whatever it is deciding not to work for me. And I think it's this morning when I was trying to turn off the doorbell, I was going through all the breakers because the previous owner didn't decide to list them as one would. So I had to go through them all, and I think I may have flipped something.
Yeah, I like looking at the breakers and going, okay, this is specific, entire floor, specific. Oh, here's the stove. Here's the AC. Here's a furnace. Here's first floor. Here's the powder room. Here's this. Oh, second floor. Okay, great.
I have a bunch of the like the ditto lines. So it's this and then ditto all the way down.
Some of those too. Yeah.
Like the hell is this?
4 or 5 breakers are just the furnace.
Yeah, so I've got to guess 10 through 32. I've got to just take a shot.
Yeah, that's why I never want to do anything electrical, which is why I'm all about the wireless.
Again, exactly. Am I right? Like just get rid of everything. I
was looking at getting some smart bulbs. I saw you can get the smart light switch. So, it's got the dimmer and all that stuff in it. It's all Wi-Fi enabled, so you don't actually have to press anything. I'm like, oh, it's great. But then I have to take one out and put one in.
Yeah, no, I'm good.
There's some you can get that's it's a cover for it, but it's still voice command, but it's battery operated. I'm like, well, that'll be good too. But then the batteries die, and then I got to take it off and change it.
It's just you got to find the right balance, right?
Yeah.
Like it's
I
unfortunately.
want to have no work after it's done, but I also don't want to work on installing it.
Yeah, I just want to set it up for the rest of my life and just be,
Yeah.
just be done.
That's what I'm all for, the plug and play. That's the way to go.
Just like, don't have to do shit.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That's what Bill Gates says, right? Hire the laziest people because they'll find the fastest way to get something done.
Did he really say that?
I'm paraphrasing, but more or less, yeah.
Genius.
It's true. Genius. A lazy person will find the fastest, easiest way to get something finished. That's
I think of every time you talk about just things being easier or whatnot. I think of that movie. And now I'm forgetting the name. What's the movie with the robot and he ends up meeting the people, but the people are so fat because they just become so lazy and everything's done for them.
Oh, Wall-E.
Wall-E, thank you. Yeah, I think about that. We are becoming a society of Wall-Es where everything will be done for us,
Yeah, that's what I was just having this conversation the other day about how you don't have to go to the movies anymore. You can watch your big screen or big theatrical releases at home. Yeah. You don't have to go to a restaurant. You can have the food delivered to your house. You can get doctors virtually. You can get your prescription sent to you. Clothes, shoes, everything you get, delivered to your house. You don't need to go and do anything.
I had an example of
except
that
for work. Oh, even work. You can work from home.
You could literally work in your bed unless you had to be on camera. I had a little not incident with Oliver, but just like a generation versus generation situation with him where, we used to have to watch through the commercials, and in some respects we enjoyed the commercials, i.e. Saturday morning cartoons.
Yes.
But now you can fast forward them, and it even got to the point where we were fast forwarding and Oliver's like, you can we paused it and you can press the up arrow to get rid of the little display. And it's like, dude, chill out. It's just a
little line.
Just because when you press play after it being paused, it takes 5 seconds for it to go away. He's like, you can press up and it just goes away right away. It's like, I don't care. Just, you're not missing anything out of a 120-minute movie. 5 seconds. You're distracted by that. It's not an issue.
Get it off my screen.
Yeah, it's like there's that gap. That generational gap. Anyway, what are you gonna do?
I don't know what I would say to that. I'm like, really? It's a 55-inch television. You still have the rest of the screen to look at. Just because there's a little progress bar there.
Yeah, ours is 13-inch, so.
Okay, well then that's understandable.
We watch it off our laptop. Yeah. No, it's but still, even that, just
13-inch Westinghouse, got a rear projection.
Yeah, I just had to put it into context for him. This, 2-hour movie is not, you are not gonna, oh, I missed 5 seconds. I have no idea what's happening in this movie. No.
First world problems at their
Honest
finest.
To God, tell me about it. All right. Well, shall we wrap it up?
Yes, that's a good place to leave it on. All right.
I think we will do our best to pick it up in the new year for the fine listeners and watchers, viewers.
Everybody.
There's a bit of a hiatus.
Yes, sir. A little bit.
It's exciting things to come for sure.
Yeah, 2023. And depending on schedules, or maybe we can fit another one in before the year's out. We'll see.
I'm on vacation from the 23rd on, so
there you go.
I'm just saying.
Push the kids aside on Christmas Day. Daddy's got a podcast.
Get out the way.
You got toys. Go play with them.
Bought you these toys for a reason.
Santa brought them. Parents can't do that.
All I wanted for Christmas was 90 minutes to myself.
Oh, from your lips to God's ears, my friend. All right, that's what we call it. For Steve, I'm Corey.
See ya.
Keep it casual.